After a very long absence hiding in the shadows and keeping a low profile, the notorious Gendai bounty hunter Dirge has finally returned to the galaxy and Star Wars canon as a whole to participate in the brewing War of the Bounty Hunters. After receiving an invitation to attend a massive event with almost every big crime lord and bounty hunter in the galaxy from Kira and the Crimson Dawn crime syndicate, Dr. Aphra is ambushed by Dirge, who's just trying to make his way in the galaxy by hunting down his targets. So, let's find out what Dirge does about Aphra and how he's about to heat up the War of the Bounty Hunters, which is about to go crazy. Remember to subscribe and save my War of the Bounty Hunters playlist to be notified as soon as more issues of this event come out, all eventually tying into the Book of Boba Fett. So the story begins on a ship called the Opal Empress, all the way out at the planet Katarin in the Outer Rim. On board the ship is another criminal organization who have received an invitation to Kira's grand event, where she has Han Solo captured. The leader of this group is a man known as Eben Drake, who is a cunning arms smuggler and the cousin of Domina Tag, who in turn is the sister of Cassio Tag, the man we all know from the Death Star meeting room in A New Hope. Eben Drake is celebrating with his fellow arms smugglers, very pleased that his group has been seen as worthy enough to receive an invite from Kira. He wants to get his group's name out there so that the entire galaxy will know who he is. Unfortunately, something bad is going to happen when he takes this next bite, and you can see something crawling in his food. Following this, we cut to the ship of the bounty hunter Sana Staros, who has Dr. Aphra at her side. After receiving a hologram from her cousin about the mysterious event being held by Kira, Domina has sent Sana and Dr. Aphra to hunt him down and find out what the invitation is all about. The bounty hunter is slightly annoyed at Aphra as she begins to fall asleep on her ship, warning her to wake up because she has just tracked down Eben Drake's luxury cruiser. After making their way to the Opal Empress and boarding the ship, they find that the place is a complete mess, with dead bodies lying everywhere and the furniture completely trashed. Aphra jokes that for a party ship, this place is pretty dead, but Sana on the other hand isn't joking around. She knows that clearly something went down here and that it's probably not looking good for their target, Eben Drake. Aphra agrees that considering they haven't found any survivors so far, she's not feeling too optimistic about his chances and knows that Domina is going to be furious. Domina wants her cousin brought back alive. The two continue trawling through the complete mess, but Dr. Aphra is stopped in her tracks after hearing something from above. Sana doesn't hear anything, and Aphra brushes it off because it vanishes as quickly as she can turn her head, but above the two, hiding in the shadows, is a mysterious being. Sana then tells Aphra to keep her guard up, because whoever caused this pile of dead bodies might still be on the ship. She also warns the young archaeologist not to steal anything, as she has a pretty bad track record with that in the past. After this, they walk into a hallway with more dead bodies stacked up across the walls, and Aphra just can't help herself. She steals a silver chain, hoping it will pay off some old debts. Just as Aphra is about to give up on the mission and return to Domina Tag to tell her of the bad news, Sana opens the nearby door and is left shocked at what she sees. Inside is Eben Drake lying cold and dead against a bed, with the invitation from Kira still in hand. Upon closer inspection, the two realize that something or someone must have bitten his tongue off and quickly become very concerned at what might have gone down on this ship. This is no regular massacre. Aphra, being her usual self, decides to take something from the scene of the death back to study, while Sana tells her that there is simply no way that an entire ship full of casualties was an accident. Being a weapon smuggler, she knows that Eben must have made a lot of enemies, so maybe one of them finally caught up with him. Aphra, however, doesn't agree and opens up the invitation given out by Kira. She shows it to Sana, who is absolutely horrified that they're offering up Han Solo to the highest bidder at the event. Following this, we cut to a ship called the Fleeting, where an assassin for a clan called the Sixth Kin, named Just Lucky, is on board. Yep, that's literally his name. His crewmate, Ariel Yu, then begins to go on a tangent, warning him that every syndicate in the galaxy is going to be at this party hosted by Kira, even if only to see Crimson Dawn's spectacular return in person. The place is going to be like a Rhydonium vault waiting for a spark. Lucky isn't really listening, however, as he's thinking about their next bounty, which has been placed on another member of their clan called Prey. Lucky is very uneasy about his next target because their clan leader is calling him a traitor, but ever since Lucky was young, he knew Cray as one of the most loyal members of the clan. The two have flashbacks to their time with Cray, who literally served as their mentor when they were younger. They are absolutely distraught that they will have to end his life. The two ultimately come to the conclusion, however, that it doesn't really matter why he betrayed the clan or who he betrayed them for, but the only thing that matters is that he did. He now must answer for that. Finally, Ariel tells his clanmate to get his head in the game, or they'll end up the dead ones in this situation. Back on the Opal Empress, Sana and Aphra are still arguing about whether or not Kira really has Han Solo captured, but they are quickly interrupted by a single blazing blaster bolt, which races through the door entrance next to them, going between the two of them. As they turn around to see what caused this, they see a massive Gendai bounty hunter standing tall, and of course being the one we've all been waiting for, Dirge. Dirge warns Aphra and Sana to step aside because the bounty on Eben Drake's head belongs to him. Aphra, being the typical her once again, believes Dirge is here to collect a bounty on her head, but Dirge flatly tells her no before laying his eyes on Drake. He then points to the dead body, telling Aphra that Drake is wanted in 2 different systems for weapons smuggling and murder. Aphra, however, responds saying that Dirge is welcome to what's left of him and they will now be leaving. Dirge, however, is not going to stand for that, blocking Aphra and her friend with his large weapon and beginning to show some anger because he wanted him alive. Aphra proclaims her innocence and also comes to the conclusion that Dirge didn't commit this massacre either because his armor is too clean for that, and because expensive hunters like Dirge don't waste time taking out a whole ship. Instead, they focus solely on their target. As the 3 of them look up, they notice a pack of foul creatures with green eyes, exactly the same ones that scared Aphra back in the hallway. This forces the angry Dirge to team up with Aphra and Sana, and he goes absolutely wild, firing on the creatures and attempting to put an end to things pretty quickly. As one of the creatures attaches itself to Aphra, Dirge continues going wild, fighting off a horde of them, but they simply pile up too fast, leading the group to rush out of the room. While running through the halls of the ship, Aphra realizes that they are Cymotes, but is confused because they should be extremely extinct. Aphra then explains that a Cymote is a parasite which lays eggs inside of a living host's mouth, and when they hatch, they eat their way back out. Yep, absolutely disgusting, but based on a real-life creature. After hearing that they should be extinct, Dirge says that he can take care of that and bring them back to extinction. But Aphra says he'll probably have some trouble since they're notoriously hard to kill. Dirge awesomely replies back saying, "So am I." Following that, Aphra comes up with the idea to airlock the Cymotes and send them out into space. Eager to follow the plan, Dirge loads his weapons, all of them, and releases a flurry of blaster bolts in all directions. The group then fight their way through the hallways, tooth and nail, until eventually the creatures group up and swarm onto Dirge, leading him to squeeze their brains out. To carry out the plan, Dirge rushes into the airlock with the creatures all over him, hoping to drop them all in there, but before Sana follows him in, Aphra pulls her by the collar and closes the airlock with Dirge inside. Obviously, Dirge doesn't have a problem being in space, but he is disgusted that the 2 betrayed him and deeply angered that they broke a deal. Aphra, however, doesn't seem to believe they had a deal, sending Dirge out into the cold void of space. The Cymotes begin popping due to rapid decompression, while Aphra and Sana begin their escape off the ship. Following this, they contact Domina Tag, who originally gave them the mission to capture her cousin, and they report that he is dead. Domina is not surprised that her reckless cousin has ended up dead, and asks Dr. Aphra if she still has the invitation to Kira's event. Aphra says she does still have the invitation, but Domina tells her not to worry about returning it because she'll be sending Aphra to Kira's event in Eben Drake's place. Along with that, she is told to watch out for the various other figures that will be there, including Vokora from the Bounty Hunter comics, Jabba the Hutt, Sly Moore, and the Black Sun Crime Syndicate. And to end the story, Domina tells Aphra to at least try to enjoy the party. So that's it for this issue of War of the Bounty Hunters. Dirge will certainly be playing a larger role, and he will heat things up pretty massively. So make sure you're subscribed to see how the event unfolds. Thanks so much for watching, really hope you enjoyed the video. Cheers guys, hope to see you in the next one.